For those who felt that we unfairly singled Martin Brundle out from a cesspit of gophers, we have decided to institute a gopher watch to highlight other gophers. For the record, a gopher is somebody who the establishment send on errands, such as spinning a yarn to the general public. The gopher is usually someone who has the appearance of being a straight shooter. However, that is a carefully cultivated cover for their hidden agenda of manipulating public opinion for profit on behalf of the highest bidder. For example, when Liberty Media wanted to sell the Abu Dhabi debacle, they called on Martin Brundle to hide under the cover of an honest commentator to attempt to deceive the public into accepting that there was nothing wrong with Marcy's outrageous and unprecedented engineering at the Yas Marina.
What are your thoughts on what happened?
Well, it was an incredible few minutes of sport, wasn't it? With a very grave consequences if you were Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes-Benz, and an amazing experience if you were Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Very complex matter. So it was so exciting to a wonderful finale to a wonderful Grand Prix season. The safety car situation, and some cars pit, and that means they are then lapped, or the leader pits and unlaps some other cars. So it takes a certain amount of time to work out exactly who the lap runners are, where they are in the pack. But the fundamental point of that rule is to make sure that they don't get in the way of a great duel towards the end of a Grand Prix. And that certainly happened, didn't it?
When that attempt failed, Liberty Media again wheeled out Brundle to proclaim that Marcy got it wrong after all, and his position was now untenable.
I made a comment that changing Michael Massey won't fix the problem, meaning that it's way too big a job for one person, especially in the 23 race season coming up. That doesn't mean to say that's in full support of Michael Massey. I think he'll struggle to keep that position. The trouble is the spotlight will be on him. Every single decision will be analysed. And what happens if Lewis is up for a penalty? Will he be lenient on that? I think he's in an untenable situation.
In other instances, the establishment can call on the gopher to be silent in the face of overwhelming public uproar over a high-profile scandal. This, for example, is what has happened in the case of our highlighted gopher, Piers Morgan. This loudmouth, who needs no introduction, is the undisputed king of gophers. Through his numerous media platforms, he has for years been lambasting government officials, public figures, and vulnerable social groups for social media engagement and profit, under the guise of someone who is not afraid to speak the truth.
Hello, Emma.
Piers Morgan. If I'd known this was your show, I would never have come.
Wait, I know you think of me as the man who says, "Stop moaning, you snowflake!" Well, that's not the real me. No one could be that horrendous.
But you called me a pathetic loser.
That was just a front.
However, during the phone hacking scandal, he lost his voice.
You said in your book, and you confirmed in your evidence to the inquiry earlier, that the first you ever heard of the practice of phone hacking was on the 26th of January 2001. Is that correct?
Yes, that appears to be the case, judging by the entry in the book, yeah.
You were the editor of the Daily Mirror in August 1998, weren't you?
Yes.
Who knew what at what time, but looking at his style of editorship, I would say that it was very unlikely that he didn't know that it was going on, because, as I've said, there wasn't very much he didn't know about. As I think he said yesterday in his testimony, he took a very keen interest in the work of his journalists. Show business is very close to his heart. He was a show business columnist on The Sun, and a lot of the people on the show business desk at the Mirror, whilst I worked there, had indeed come from The Sun themselves, and they were old friends. And nothing really that happened on that desk happened without Piers knowing about it.
Was this a practice which, if we may add a third newspaper to the mix, was taking place within the Daily Mirror before 2004?
I do not believe so, no.
You don't believe so, or you're sure?
I don't believe so. To the best of my recollection, I do not believe so.
Morgan is a well-known supporter of Lewis Hamilton, who is a fellow gooner. In a shocking display of Liberty Media's influence and damning indictment of Morgan as a gopher, we have been unable to find any criticism of Lewis being robbed in Abu Dhabi, beyond the day after the race. The only public comment from Piers, that we have been able to find, beyond the 13th of December, is that which he made 3 days later, when he claimed that Sir Lewis was not going to retire. It is rather odd, that a professional loudmouth of Morgan's calibre, with such an extensive platform at his disposal, who has long represented himself as pro-Hamilton, tweeted his support before the race and tweeted his outrage after the race, would fall silent within a day, while the outrage was still reverberating around the world, in some cases, with headlines featuring Morgan's tweet. Astonishingly, Morgan has maintained his silence, even through flashpoints such as the release of the Jonathan Wheatley, Michael Marcy audio and Marcy's subsequent sacking. Why would a motormouth like Piers Morgan fall silent after someone he claims to support has been denied a record-breaking victory, in what will go down as one of the biggest sporting scandals ever? Kindly provide your answers below.